And we're live. Good morning, excuse me. Sorry, everybody, about my voice. I'm hoping it's going to hold up for the hour, but if it doesn't, then we'll just quit. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is August the 29th. Sorry. I've been in bed for the last 3 days, just got up today, so we shall see how the rest of the day goes. And let me see, what have I been doing? Yeah, I've been sick. What have I been doing? I've had a really, really heavy head cold and horrible stuff. So, but what did I do last weekend? Oh, I know what I did last weekend. Last weekend, Reese and I were just together, just the two of us. Unfortunately, though, I was getting sick, so one day someone took him to the beach, and another day someone took him bike riding just to give me a bit of a break. But you would think that that would have made it much easier for me. I would have gotten over it. But no, by Monday I had crashed. Tuesday I'd really crashed. You don't want to know any more about it, do you? Anyway, but look, see, I'm back. Here I am. The only little bit of residue is the cough in the throat, which means we can have a great show. So before we begin the show, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to Grey Eagle, who is standing very close by my side, keeping me safe today. And of course, we have Chris, wherever she is. Good morning, Chris. And
Good morning.
we'd like to say good morning to all of you out there. Well, wait a minute. Chris, is there anybody there? Do we have anybody yet? I mean, are people coming on the show? It's a bit early yet. I know that some people like to sort of gradually come in, or sometimes people forget and then they suddenly think 10 minutes in, oh, the show's on. So is there anybody there?
There are ways to get on before we even start. Because Gary always seems to be the first person in the chat room, and he's in like 10 or 15 minutes before we even start. So there's
How
some people who wait for the announcement to come out and then they pop in, and there's others who are sitting and lurking already in there.
did you say lurking?
I did.
Gary, how do you feel about that? She's accusing you of lurking. I don't think it's lurking. I think it's just merely sitting, getting ready, and waiting for the show, and I appreciate that. All right, so Chris, I'm not going to be doing too much talking today. I'm going to try my best to answer some questions, but I'm hoping you'll all forgive me if I get a bit croaky and give up at some point. But here I am, doing my best to get this show on the road. If I might remind people that we are here, I would say every Thursday. We have an occasional Thursday, like today. I almost cancelled the show this morning because I wasn't sure, excuse me, if my voice was going to hold up or not. But other than sort of little emergencies like that, we're here every day. We're here every Thursday morning. My grandson is going back to school next week, next Thursday. He's not looking forward to it at all, but once he gets in there, he'll be fine. And then I shall be probably the next following week I shall be coming back to Florida, which means we'll be starting with our different programs. We're going to be doing more cracking up with my friend Kay and I. We're going to be doing our tutorials, and I think that a lot of you will find the tutorials very interesting because we're going to be talking about a whole range of subjects. The thing about what do we call it, this otherworldly stuff that we deal with, the thing about it is there are so many different facets. There are at least dozens of different facets of the same subject. A lot of people think that because you talk to dead people, that's all you do. Not that that's a bad thing. I like talking to dead people who I don't believe are dead at all, but there are so many different facets. There are ways of us learning to raise our level of consciousness. That means becoming more in tune with those things that are or seem to be beyond our understanding or beyond our reach. So there are ways to learn to raise your level of consciousness, to become more aware of things. There are ways to become more sensitive to things like psychometry, things like oh, I don't know, what am I thinking? Healing, of course, for instance, lots of different ways that we can use our energy. Things like, I mean, there's so many things, I can go on and on here forever. Things like aura spotting and painting your aura. Have you ever heard of painting your? No, you see, a lot of you don't know about painting your aura, but we can paint our aura. What is an aura, you would ask? An aura is simply an energy field, that comes from us and surrounds us and emanates from us several feet beyond our physical body. And that can create lots of wonderful things, or it can causes lots of problems, because when our auras, we all join together, let's say there's a crowd of us and all of us are emanating this energy, so that means that my energy is melding with somebody else's energy, which is melding with somebody else's energy, and so on and so forth, which is great if the energy of other people is positive. But what if the energy of other people is negative? Will that affect our aura? So we're talking about the tutorials, we're going to be talking about that. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have things like oh gosh, my brain is going, sorry, it's just the head thing. We have things like our energy centers. What are they? I mean, the Hindu word for an energy center is a chakra. What does the word chakra actually mean? It's a Hindu word, but what does it actually mean? The word chakra means spinning wheel. And our chakra points, our energy points, we have 7 main energy points of the body, but we also have lots and lots, dozens of other energy points that people forget about and don't even pay attention to. I mean, how can they help us? We're going to be discussing things like that. We're going to be discussing different colors, different types of energy represent the colors of different colors of the rainbow represent the different types of energy that we have within us that we can use. So if we're giving healing, or if we want particular energy for ourselves, we can think of certain colors, or we can visualize those certain colors surrounding us, giving us different types of energy. I mean, the tutorials are literally never ending. And in amongst those tutorials, for those of you who get really involved in them and want to know more, I'm going to be giving you some little exercises to do between the tutorials. Maybe teach you how to use a pendulum, for instance. Has anybody used a pendulum? Do you know how to use a pendulum? What is a pendulum used for? And on and on and on and on it goes. So we're going to be doing those tutorials. We're going to be doing our healing sessions, of course. We're going to be doing our cracking up show. And of course, excuse me, somebody did ask, I think it was on the last show, are you going to be doing the Halloween thing that you usually do? Of course we're going to be doing Halloween. Yeah, why wouldn't we? It's so much fun. Now, just pointing out to you that I don't believe in ghosts. I believe in people in the spirit world. I don't believe in ghosts or ghouls or things that go bump in the night. I don't, I'm able to put my feet on the ground and look at these things in a way that is acceptable and that you can understand, because it's only spooky if you don't understand it. Once you understand something, it's not spooky. It doesn't become spooky at all. it's like anything in life, that those things that are strange or that are unusual to us seem to be so far fetched and sometimes really ridiculous. But once we have an understanding of those things, once we have an understanding of the ghosts and the ghouls and so on, once we have an understanding of how things work, things take on a normal and a natural uh, way of being. And so, so instead of being frightened, the more you learn, the more frightened you become. The more you learn, the less frightened you become, and the more you understand, the more you accept, and the more you're able to help yourselves by becoming even more sensitive, even more aware, even more understanding of what is the natural order of things. The natural order of things being, let's see, we're going to be talking about astral travel during our tutorials. On and on we go. And what we'd like you all to do for us, if you want to, if you're interested in joining in with the tutorials, you might not be able to manage to see the tutorial on the day, but they're there for you. You'll be able to access the tutorials at any time of the day or night. Obviously live is better, because if you're live on the tutorials, you can ask me questions as we go along. But they'll be there and they'll be available to everybody, no charge whatsoever, because I'm a firm believer that we should all learn as much as we possibly can in the best way that we can. This incredible world of ours. And when I say world of ours, I mean universe of ours. I mean the many universes that are out there. Let's have a better understanding of all these things, and that's what these tutorials are going to be for, to give you a better understanding. So if you have an issue or a question or so this happened to me, what does it mean, sort of thing, or can you talk more about energy centers, or can you talk more about how do we what do we do with that aura? How do we make it better? Or how do we make it? Or how have we made it worse? And so on. All of these things make a huge difference in our lives. We'll be talking about mantras and how important they are. We'll be talking about let me see, animal spirit, your spirit animal, and your spirit. Let's see, totem, if you like, your the whatever it is, that power symbol that you have, that power symbol, that power animal. The Native Americans believed in those things. I certainly believe in those things, because they do remind us of the power that we have. So on and on and on we go. So please, don't miss out on those and the other things that we're going to be doing as well. Okay, Chris, I think I've given everybody a lot to think about. Email the office, Rosemary at, wait a minute, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. I think that's the office. Is that the office email? I
That
think it
is.
and just put in the subject line, tutorials, and then if you have a question or you want to know more about a particular topic, as I've said, there are so many different facets to this topic of ours. And as a spiritual medium of at least 150 years, if not longer, I do have a lot of answers for you. Don't know everything by any means, and usually what I don't know, Gregor is able to help us with as well. So he and I will be doing these tutorials together, as we always do. So if you would like for us to address a topic, please send us an email, put in the subject line tutorials, and then just give us a one or two liner about the topic that you would like to know about. Don't make it more than a couple of lines. As much as we love you and as much as we want to hear your life stories, we don't really have time for it. So please make it as short as you can, and we'd appreciate that. All right, Chris, let's go to the chat room, shall we?
All right. So Gary started us off with saying, I know you like questions, so here's one.
Okay.
Can you tell me what happens to cause a person terrified of death to suddenly become excited about the transition?
Well, it depends on the person, Gary. I mean, it could be that that person's had their own experience. It could be that, they've spoken to someone who's able to help them or to guide them through the process. I've had many patients who, I know, I write in one of my books about Wendy, who was my wonderful patient. Excuse me. She was my patient for a long time, and she was absolutely terrified of death, and she was terrified of dying. She was fine until she had, about 3 days before she died, she had a visit from, I'm sure, a very, very well-meaning priest of the local church, who actually sat down and told her that she will not go to heaven. This is a woman who is dying, by the way. She's in her bed, she's dying. There's no doubt that she's dying. She's extraordinarily weak. And he tells her that if she does not renounce her healing, which she's been having now for 2 years, if she doesn't renounce that, if she does not accept the church, his church, as the one and only, then she is going to go to hell. And now you might think that I'm exaggerating this story. You might think, come on, nobody would ever do that to a dying woman. Nobody would ever think to do such a terrible thing to a dying woman. However, excuse me, it happened. And after that, and I was not there at the time, but her husband called me. Wendy was beside herself. She was crying all the time. Remember, she's dying. She's having to deal with dying too. Not in a great place, but she was absolutely terrified that she was going to go to hell, because she was told that if she didn't renounce everything that she believed in and accept that this church was her only church and so on, that she was going to go to hell. And that wonderful priest, albeit well-meaning, had I gotten hold of him after I found out about it, I think I would have hung, drawn and quartered him easily, all by myself. But anyway, as I'm saying, I'm being a nice person. I'm sure he was very well-meaning. So let's leave it at that. However, I got a phone call, an urgent phone call. You've got to come, please, Rosemary, you've got to come. Wendy's in an awful, terrible, terrible state. So I immediately went over there. It was an hour's journey for me, there and back, to see her. But I went over there immediately, and she was in a mess. Now, here's the thing. I know what I believe, but I can't make other people believe what I believe. I can tell you what I believe. I can explain the reasons why I believe it. But if you choose to believe something else or something different, or if you have doubts, they're yours to deal with. They're yours. There's nothing I can do about it. So I sat with Wendy and I listened. I listened very carefully when she told me all of these things. It was very hard for her to talk. She had barely any energy at this point. And she just said to me, how can I believe everything you've said to me when this priest is telling me just exactly the opposite? And I'm so frightened. I'm so terrified of dying now. I'm so terrified that I've done the wrong thing, and so on and so forth. And so I just held her and I said, look, it doesn't matter to me. If you renounce me, that's okay. That's all right with me. I perfectly understand if you listen to this priest and you listen to what he said to you, and this is the way you want to go, then that's the way you should go. And she was upset because she'd been my patient for 2 years, and we'd gotten to know each other, we'd gotten to be friends, and she was worried and guilty that she was going to deny me and to sort of, if you like, sort of pushed me over because because you know, she felt that maybe she'd been listening to the wrong person, and I assured her. I said, Wendy, listen to me. Whatever you feel in your heart is what way you should go. I know what I believe, but that doesn't mean that you need to believe that as well. Perhaps this isn't right for you, and don't feel guilty about me. I love you anyway. So, you know, so please try and, you know, just rest easy and just, you know, try. And we always used to use the color blue, Wendy and I. It's a healing color. It's the universal healing color that most healers will use. And I said to her, just try and just don't worry about me. I am the least important person in this situation. You have to be comfortable, and if you want to believe in the priest and if you want to go with the priest, then that's exactly what you should do. I went home. Now, I have to tell you that I was so angry at this whole thing. I wasn't angry at Wendy because, you know, she was confused. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know where to go with any of this. She had no clue what to do. But I was angry with God. I was certainly angry with the priest. I was angry with anyone and anything that would put a person who is dying in a situation of confusion. Because as we're dying, and as we know we're dying, and Wendy knew that she was dying, when we're in that situation, the last thing we want is conflict. The last thing we want is to be uncertain or unsure. The last thing we want is for someone to tell us that we're going to go to the devil unless we do this, this, and this. That's the last thing. Now, I didn't say any of this to Wendy. I just kept very calm and tried to help her to not to worry about me and not to feel guilty about me, and just to go where she felt it was right to go. But boy, was I mad. I was mad with God. I was mad with Grey Eagle. I was mad with everybody in the spirit world. I was, so 10, 11 o'clock at night, I was pacing up and down, up and down, up and down the upper hallway of my house. I might have had a drink. I might have had 2 drinks. I wasn't drunk by any means, but boy, I was so upset that my patient would be put in this awful situation where she would have to choose, when of course, who would want to choose any of that? Anyway, I was angry with God, but I was also saying, please do something. Please do something. Give this woman peace. Please, please, please. And I prayed all night long. I barely slept the whole night for thinking about it, and I fluctuated from being angry and upset to asking somebody just give this woman some kind of peace, some kind of something to hold on to, so that she would know to make the right choice in whatever it was that she believed, whether it was the priest, me, or something else entirely. I just wanted her to find peace. So all night long I paced, very upset, yelling, shouting, doing my thing. Anyway, so finally I managed to get to sleep around 5-ish. At 7 o'clock the phone rang, and it was Wendy's husband. You have to come, Rosemary, you have to come now. Now, I had a whole day filled with bookings, with people wanting consultations, but this was the most important thing. So I asked a friend, can you cancel all these for me? We'll rearrange another time. And off I went, and I got to Wendy's, and I didn't know what to expect. You know, she could have said, I don't want to see you anymore. She could have said, you need to go away. She could have said anything. Anyway, so her husband met me at the door. Wendy was in bed, obviously. he met me at the door, and he's grabbed hold of my hands and he said, "You've got to come, you've got to come, you've got to talk to her. She's desperate to talk to you. You've got to come now, you've got to come now." And I said, "Well, can you give me a clue here? What's going on?" And he wouldn't. He just pulled me into the bedroom and he came in with us. And Wendy was, she was so weak. Somehow or another, she managed to reach her arms out to me, and I went to her and she just held me, and she cried and she cried. And eventually she calmed down. Her husband was there. We were sitting one on either side of the bed with her. And then she began to tell me what had happened. She said it was so amazing. She went to bed and she did not know what to believe. She did not know how to deal with this. She did not want to go to hell. She was terrified of going to hell. And all night long she tossed and turned. And then at about 6 o'clock in the morning, she said, I opened my eyes and the room was filled with this incredible blue light. In every corner of the room there was blue, and it was like a mist, gently swirling and moving and surrounding me. And she said somehow or another this blue wrapped around me and took me, and I felt as if God was taking me into his arms. And I felt such peace and such tranquility. And she said, and all the time there was this blue swirling around and swirling around me until I was filled with it. And then, once I was filled with this blue light, then I saw the light appear, like a bright, bright light, and an angel appeared before me. And I knew then that this was right. And I knew, Rosemary, that you were right, and that you haven't guided me wrongly. I knew absolutely that God is waiting for me. No matter what it is, I believe God is waiting for me. And she held my hands, and her husband cried, and I might have had a tear or two. And I spent several hours with her that day. The next day, I went very bright and early, and she was there, and her sons were with her, and her husband was with her. The doctor had been, I was with her, and she didn't say very much. She told her boys she loved them. She told her husband that she loved him. She told me that she loved me. And at some point, it was very quiet, and we thought she was asleep. We knew that she was passing. And so I whispered to her husband, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave you guys now to spend this time together. And I started to get off the bed. And all of a sudden, Wendy lifted up her head and she said, in a very strong voice, "Where are you going?" And I looked at her and I said, "I thought I'd leave you with your boys and your husband." And she said, "Stay where you are. I want you with me." So I stayed for another 2 or 3 hours. By this time, she was deep in a coma. And I quietly slipped away and left them all to it. And she passed later on that night. I might tell you, with a smile on her face, knowing that she was going to God, knowing that there's no hell for her. So, people are afraid of dying. People are afraid of death. I come across it all the time. It's amazing how, towards the very, very end, I think, when they start to become aware of their loved ones in the spirit world drawing close to them, when they start to become aware of their angels around them, I think that fear goes away very nicely and very easily. Not for everyone, but for most. And this is why I think it's really important to have people around you who love you when you're in that transition place. People who are calm, people who are happy for you, people who know that they can't change things. They might be sad for themselves, but hold on to your grief until your loved ones have gone, and then you can cry as much as you like. But be supportive of them and try if you can to not wallow in your own grief. It's easy to do, but to always try and remember that you're there for them, which means that you smile for them and you're happy for them, because transition to the spirit world is actually really very easy and very beautiful. I think I've said far too much on that subject now. You didn't expect that, did you? Right, let's move on, Chris.
Well, we all need a breath after that one, Rosemary. Goodness. All right. Rhonda's the next person saying, "Good morning to you and Gray Eagle. Thank you for the advice and the mantra last week. I feel much better. That
Good.
negative attachment seems to have dissipated."
Oh, yes. We love it. Thank you, Ron. Thank you for letting us know that. Okay, Chris.
Then we have Leslie, and I think Leslie's from Arizona, if I remember correctly. She says, "Good morning. I recently visited an 800-year-old Native American ruin. It was an amazing place, and I had some strange coincidences there. And are they the descendants of the Hopi and Zuni?"
If it's Arizona, it's, well, I don't know where. I know you. I think we think you live in Arizona, but where did you go to see the ancient ruins? I'm thinking in Arizona. I've been to Arizona several times. Maybe I've seen those ruins. I don't remember seeing any ruins, particularly in Arizona, but so where did you see the ruins? I mean, wherever it was, if you saw the ruins and they were in Arizona, then it's unlikely that they are the place of the Hopi, or forgot which other you mentioned, but Arizona was much more the excuse me, the Apache, and there were also, the Mexican tribes there. So, I don't know where the ruins were, so I can't help you out. Chris.
The next is from Patricia. "Rosemary, I would like to know if your healing center is still in operation. Was it Vermont?"
Well, we had a few healing centres. Thank you for asking that question, my darling. None of the healing centres are open anymore. We don't have, excuse me, a physical centre that you can actually go to. The majority of the people who ran the healing centres are like me. They're old and frail and decrepit, and not quite decrepit. I don't mean that really, but sorry, I didn't mean to offend all those people, those wonderful people. But no, we don't have any physical healing centres anymore. But we do have our healing page, and you can go to the healing page. You can join in our Healing Hands Around the World. You can find out more about healing, and of course, we do talk about healing on our shows. As I've said, in sort of towards the end of September, we'll be figuring out all of that stuff again. But no, we do not have anymore a physical centre. But having a physical centre, you have to understand, we had several of them. We had, I'm trying to think, 3 or 4 in England. We had one in Vermont. I'm trying to think where else. But the thing is that it takes an awful lot of work, an awful lot of effort, an awful lot of energy, and an awful lot of people to run these places. So, it became, when I moved away from Vermont, and I sort of, not exactly retired, but sort of taking on less work and less and by people in England who kept those centres going for years. I mean, 25 years we ran those centres. It's a quarter of a century. And we had so many fabulous, dedicated people. We had, you know, Lynn and Peter Bolton, who were amazing. Peter was the president of the organisation for many, many, many years. And he, you know, when I left England, he took my place and did a fabulous job of running those centres. We have all of the healers that we had, you know, my friend Kay Warburton, who's on my Cracking Up show. She, you know, she was very instrumental in running one of the centres. I mean, it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, a lot of energy. And if you're going to do that, then pretty much there's not much time for anything else. So I have so many other irons in the fire, so many other things that I do, that it became impossible for us to keep any of the physical centres open. But we do have an online, if you go to our healing page, we do have an online healing page where you can go visit.
All right, we have a number of people, it looks to me to be from Italian locations that are writing to us in Italian. So unfortunately, I cannot read their questions.
Okay. Here's the deal with the Italians. If you, or any language that we speak English, that's pretty much it. If you want to write to us, we'd love for you to write to us, but translate. You have a little button that translates what you write. You can translate it and send it to us. We'd love to be able to read it, but you need to translate it for us. Otherwise, we just have to just, you know, we don't understand it. If we can't understand it, we can't help you.
All right, we have a question from Nicolay, who also wrote an email to you in the office. He says his birth date, and he's in Bulgaria. His mother and I wrote you an email, and I kindly ask you to help me understand my future because I feel lost. That's as much as I can read here from the chat.
I actually don't remember an email, Nikolai, so
he just sent it this morning, Rosemary, so you haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I haven't. Then I'm unfortunately not read it yet. If you want to know things like this, my suggestion is that you need to, book an appointment and have a consultation, whether it's with me or with someone else. I'm always happy to. We call them life force consultations, which is when somebody needs to know what's happening with their life, what's going on in their lives, what can go on in their lives, what opportunities are going to come to them in their lives. They're not necessarily, looking for anyone to talk to in the spirit world, although generally speaking, there's usually someone in the spirit world who comes through to talk to them. But if you want a life force consultation, that's what you need to be looking for. Okay, Chris.
Himalaya is on. Good morning, Rosemary and Grey Eagle.
Good morning.
They are from Colombo. Question: if a person passes, is it okay to keep some of their belongings, or would that be hindering their journey by keeping their things?
You can, of course, keep whatever you want. I have things that belong to my daddy. I have a set of pearls that my daddy brought home from the war. That's a whole other story, by the way. I also have a couple of other things of his. I don't have too many things of his because my sisters made sure that I wouldn't have anything of his. Anyway, that's a whole other story too. If you have something that's special that you want to keep, a nice sweater, for instance, if you want to have, keep something that is special to you or was special to them that you want to hold on to, Of course, that's what you should do. It is not going to hinder their journey at all. It is not going to hinder them in any way whatsoever. It's a keepsake for you, and that's what you should do. You should, have a keepsake if that's what you want to do. Please don't worry about their journey. They'll manage perfectly well and probably be very happy that you're keeping the things that meant something to them. Chris.
Wayne, good morning, Rosemary and Grade. I just had more was put down another dog to die, and I've been worried, and I move on.
Oh, Wayne, of course, they're okay. You should know that. I'm sure you know that. I think you're looking for confirmation from me. Worrying about them, being anxious about them is only going to sort of, they sense your anxiety, they'll sense your worry. And so what happens is they end up worrying for you. So you got to stop worrying. That's what you got to do. You've got to accept that these things do happen. It's awful when we lose our puppies. I know that. You all know that I know how awful it is for me. I mean, I'm here with Reese, and we have Apache, who is Reese's puppy. Absolutely, definitely Reese's puppy, 1000% Reese's puppy. And but I found myself a couple of times saying cachorro, because it's in your head. It's not that I'm worrying about cachorro. It's just that we love our puppies so much, and it's hard to let go of them. It's really hard to let go of them. I'm not asking you to let go of them. I'm just asking you to stop worrying about them and enjoy the fact that they're enjoying themselves. That's what you need to do. It's interesting. I have a fabulous story, far too long to tell here today, about a dog who actually literally went into the wilds to die. And I was in Greece at the time, and he came and he sat in my driveway, and he howled and he howled and he howled for about 15 minutes or so. And then he left, and nobody could find him. He was completely lost. He was a family dog of the place where I was staying, and he'd been their family dog. I think he was 15 or 16 years old. So to lose him was devastating for them. Now he came and sat in my driveway, I think, to let me know, okay, I'm off now. This is my time. I'm going. Can you let them know? And later on in the story, I do have an opportunity to let them know. But yes, he went off by himself. And often animals do that for some reason or another. And I think it's probably easier for them not to have the emotions around them of, it's like people who say, I only went to the bathroom, and when I came back, my dad was gone. It was perfectly fine when I left. I went to the bathroom, when I came back, it was gone. And that's because it's easier if we don't have the emotions to hold on to. It's easier for us to let go when we're by ourselves. So please stop worrying, let go, and understand that they are happy, and they're only going to be happy if you're happy. So you need to be happy too. Chris. I'm not sure if I lost you or not. I think I might have done. Let's see, in which case, we're nearly done. It's 11:45. Let's see, let me see if I can get Chris on the phone. I don't know if you can all hear me or not. Let's see where she is. We seem to have lost the connection.
Hi there. It looks like we lost connection.
Yeah, can people hear me, do you think, still?
They're saying they lost connection and then you came back on just now.
Well, here I am, still on. If I'm still on, why don't you give me a question?
You're not in my picture. Can you sign back in?
Do you want me to come out and sign back in again?
Yeah, please.
Okay. It's the internet again, I think. Wait a minute.